TV personality Vivian Swill has just finished co-presenting Wake Up Salone, the flagship program of the African Young Voices Media Empire, also known as AYV. Today, as usual, the breakfast show featured a variety of issues from politics to the economy.
This now Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV television and radio. And as we mentioned earlier, today na a holiday.
Wake Up Salone has become one of the most watched television programs in the country.
Agilen and all the other people, Alhaji Muhyiddin.
Them preach to we. No problem. Why you think so this happen?
Again.
And Fabian is one of a few outstanding journalists at AYV who take turns to co-present this program every morning on weekdays. There are many breakfast shows like this across Sierra Leone, but on TV, very few can match it. Programs like this have shaped the way Sierra Leoneans consume the news and even participate in discussions about the socio-economic development of the country. As part of commemoration of World Television Day on Tuesday, November 21st, Mano Reporters explores how TV journalism has evolved in the country.
As it stands, television has improved phenomenally. One, it's the instant nature in which it brings news to you, to your doorstep, as and when you want, just with a click of a button. Wherever it's happening, it comes to you. Now we also have the added advantage of what? Online televisions, wherein you do not need to sit before the television at home, but just your simple set can move it for you. Let's bring into context three clear things that have made television broadcasting important for us today. One is the fact that the news is at my fingertips wherever I go. That is one. Two is the fact that it has changed lifestyles tremendously. Lifestyles have been changed tremendously to a certain extent that television is used, one, to have it as a background in the house. It can tell us time, it can give us a noise background, it can also help to bring the family together once in a while to watch, and there are many people who use it as a means of what? Entertainment, means of education, means of furthering their learning. Online TVs are there, and also you've got television stations just dedicated to learning purposes. You may not need to go far, just look at the bouquet of programs in the DSTV line, and there you will come to understand the phenomenal nature of it. Education programs, sports programs, entertainment programs, religious programs, and what have you. And even for cooking and people who are given to culinary interests, say for instance you want to cook and eat, there is also a television dedicated to it. So it's about life being celebrated here, that in the television era, in the television moment, it brings the the news to your fingertips. Two, it has changed the lifestyle. And three, it's emphasizing a change in, I could say, astronomical developments or inventions in the world of technology. Imagine what we used to watch, the hunchback televisions, the crude and the archaic television stations, the liney ones. Today you have sleek 4K image. It's hard to imagine, but that's what is there. Digital televisions. The hunchbacks are being gradually, if not highly, being replaced by the flat ones. And even those flat ones are getting as obsolete as possible, that people now want to be on the fly, get the news, look at it, read and move. On your simple computer or on your simple cell phone, as a matter of fact, everything works and everything moves. Okay. It's important you start imagining, at least. On my desk here are three things that clearly tell you how we move along with technology. The laptops and then the telephone. They all are open to television. they can read television images.
TV, invented by an assortment of individuals
in the late 19th and 20th century, but which is often attributed to John Logie Baird, has revolutionized the world. From the era when people waited for days or weeks or even months to receive a single piece of information, to these days when we get the news in real time round the clock. In 1996, the US hosted the first world television program as a platform to analyze the growing impact of TV on decision-making and public opinion. That event brought together leading figures from the media industry. Within the same year, the United Nations declared November 21st as World Television Day. This year's theme is accessibility. According to Father Suma, who is an expert in broadcast journalism with 20 years combined experience in education and practice, Sierra Leone has witnessed a considerable level of expansion of access to information on TV.
It started just after the Second World War, but eventually with time, for a long time it was monopolized by government. During the war, the scenario started changing, and eventually after the war we saw the television boom and many other actors and players came into it. Today we've entered into what you call the digital age, and of course it's phenomenal to imagine, to think. One, the level of invention that has taken place. Two, the level in which it is affecting people's life. And as a matter of fact, what is more important is the fact that news is at our fingertips. Whatever is happening, any part of the world we can get with the touch of a button instantly. And I think Sierra Leone is part of that world revolution.
In the 90s, when Sierra Leone went through its civil war, there was only one TV broadcaster in the whole country, and that was the state-owned Sierra Leone Broadcasting Services, which has since evolved to the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, SLBC, when it was transformed to a public broadcaster. Over a decade later, there are at least 6 functioning TV stations in the country, providing diverse sources of on-screen information. According to data from the Independent Media Commission, IMC, the number of registered TV stations in the country is a lot more. Daniel Mosiri is one of the most familiar faces on TV at the SLBC. Dan Morse, as he is fondly called among his peers in the field, is one of the brains behind another very popular program on TV in Sierra Leone, We Use.
I chose to be a broadcaster since I was in school. You know, I was very much interested in broadcasting, so I had to start practicing on my own in school. But when I was growing up, I chose 3 professions. I said I want to be a military officer, and also I choose to be a sailor, and also I chose to be a broadcaster. You know, when your peers, when you are in school, you say, what do you want to be? So I choose those 3 professions. And fortunately for me, I almost enrolled in the military, but there's one thing that made me not to go. And so later on, I decided, to be a broadcaster. But it's a calling actually.
The SLBC is the undoubted pioneer of television broadcast in the country, and despite undeniable challenges it continues to face, especially in terms of political influence and resources, it has continued to keep the flame of public servant journalism burning. And both Dan and Fabian are among a cohort of dedicated young and old Sierra Leoneans who have helped sustain this momentum through innovative programming like Wake Up Salon, Wayus, and many others on these two leading broadcasters, as well as others like Star TV and FTN.
Since I was a child, those who would ask me, what do you want to become when you grow up? I was very consistent to say, I want to be a broadcast journalist. Well, I was younger, I said journalism, and growing up, figuring out the differences, I emphasized that I wanted to be a broadcast journalist.
Like the AYV, the ITV, Star TV, and many others came into vogue, and eventually the landscape became bigger, competition was added to the market, and eventually where there's competition, everybody goes for excellence, and that's what has made a big change in the television situation in the country.
But TV has its own fair share of challenges beyond limited access to resources. There are, for instance, issues about the professional handling of sensitive information or an ethical broadcast of images, among others. And with the advent of the new media, the traditional media has come under immense pressure to compete for audience. With Facebook and YouTube, for instance, anyone these days can create a TV station in their bedroom and influence millions of people. Dr. Suma suggests a need for appropriate laws to guard against unprofessionalism.
It's everybody's fight, but obviously there should be laws. If there are no laws around it in the state, the IMC code is very clear on this. That is, it makes it clear that deliberate showing of nude or provocative images that disturb the general culture or harm society should be prohibited. And obviously, if you know these are things that are expressly offensive to certain people, it's important you either avoid it or you show it wherein you have a limited set of people who go directly for that, or you put it in a program box wherein somebody has to pay for it, and when they pay for it, that's totally different in the sense they are mature enough, they pay for it, they go for it, they should be allowed to watch whatever they want to watch. Come to think of it, anything you want to see on television, now you have it. If you want, how you call it, blues, or you want pornography, there are channels dedicated to it, not so, as well as football and what have you. What is clear here is, or what is not clear here is, the laws that should govern viewership. If it's a free television station with no restrictions, obviously every nation should have laws, timing of broadcast, wherein if you know the kids are at home and they can watch this, and you know there are indecent images or viewer discretion is advised, it's important you do not put it on a channel wherein even the kids or everybody can access it. That's where problems start emerging eventually in television. That is, if you know it's highly sensitive, put it in those hours where only adults could watch it. Another one is this. Paid up television station means I buy the bouquet, I subscribe to it, and I choose the channel. In that way, it's restricted. So whoever pays is one step higher, means they can afford it. And whoever goes to that channel goes to it as a mature person